Are you looking for an inspiring listen? Something to motivate you? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Women of the Northwest, where we have conversations with ordinary women leading extraordinary lives. Motivating, inspiring, compelling.
Well, technically, I suppose I'm homeless. But if your home is where your heart is, then I have more homes than a lot of people I could count.
Welcome to episode 88. Dana Bartus has chosen the homeless life, living in her outfitted van for years. She enjoys not having a house payment and the freedom it provides. Because of an auto accident in 2018, she had a concussion causing her to live in darkness and a quiet environment for nearly a year. Let's listen to her story and how she's made it to the other side. Welcome, Dana, to Women of the Northwest. Glad you could be here with us today.
Thanks for having me. It was so nice to meet you.
Just happened to pick you up on the side of the road, huh? No.
Pretty much. Basically, yeah.
I'm in Bend this weekend visiting my daughter Emily at her school where she's teaching ceramics in high school, and just happened upon Dana and we got to chatting, and I thought, well, there's an extraordinary woman right there.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
So here we are. Well, one of the extraordinary things that you do is live in your vehicle. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I bought a Dodge ProMaster in 2020. It was the last of the olds before the pandemic, manufacturing. And they were trying to get them off the lot, and I got it for a good price. And I built it out, and I did almost everything myself. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to use a jigsaw. My boyfriend said he would help me, and he took the phone and said, "Here's YouTube." And then he pointed to his father's garage that had all of his tools in it. He's a contractor, and was a contractor flipping houses at the time. And so he had all his tools, all his father's tools, and all his grandfather's tools.
Oh,
so
sweet.
God help me if I could find any of them. And to this day, it's still the same, but I think that's any good workman's shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he said, there's the tools, there's the YouTube, you can do it. And I'm glad he did, because now I have ownership of it. It really feels like mine.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, I can fix it.
And you had a man that supported you that way. And
Yes.
encouraged you.
Yes. Sometimes I cried and I yelled at him.
That's okay.
Because I wanted him to help me instead of doing whatever he was doing. But I did have help. His dad helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's my wingman.
Yeah.
And, Hunter, my boyfriend, he helped me so much. He helped me when I really, really needed it.
Yeah.
He also, taught me that I needed to do it on my own.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So describe what you have inside of it.
Oh, it's great. A lot of people build a wall right behind the driver's seat, and I wanted to be able to have that open space. So if I'm parked in a beautiful spot, I can have the view through the windshield. So I have one swivel seat on the passenger side, the heater underneath the passenger seat, a Webasto heater. I built a little step because there's a natural step that goes up from the base floor up into the cab. And so I built an extra I measured my shoes, the length of my shoe. And I said, well, that's how long the step is going to be. And all my shoes will tuck right underneath that. And then I have a sink that is halfway through the slider door, and a folding counter that goes up. So the seat swivels around, the passenger seat swivels around. The table folds up, and that's extra cook space and drawing and dining. And next to the fridge, next to the sink, I have the fridge, and I have a full-size bed. I have a full cabinet for my clothes, a full closet.
Uh-huh.
I have my toilet that there's no drain going right out. I have to take it out and go to the Sandy dump. But, if I'm out in the woods, I'm not using the toilet. But if I'm somewhere where I need it, then I use it. And
Yeah.
it's good for emergencies. And being a single female, well, I'm not single anymore, but
Yeah.
being a female, I don't want to have to rush to go to the coffee shop or pool or park.
Yeah.
I used to do that when I lived in my Honda Element. I didn't have a toilet in there. I was single then. That's when I met Hunter. I was living in my
where
Honda
were you
Element.
parking? Where were you staying when you were living in your car?
Primarily at Smith Rock. Then I was guiding and working at Red Point Climbers Supply. And
you actually got sleep at night?
In my car. Oh, yeah. I lived in that thing for 4 years.
Really?
Well, 2 of them, I guess it was like 3 years.
So you consider yourself homeless or just a wanderer?
I have a strong network of friends in Bend. I lived in Bend for 6 years before I moved into the van or into the Element. Well, 4 years, because I came out from New Jersey in 2010 in my Honda Civic. And then I was in Ashland for a little bit and I traveled around. I had a job guiding mountain biking trips for teenagers and traveled all over Colorado and did some training in Wyoming and Salt Lake City.
And you couldn't have been tied down to the house.
No.
Come on, right?
Well, yeah. So because of jobs like that, because of wanting to work seasonally, and utilizing that lifestyle to travel, you don't get paid that much, but you get to do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Why do you need to pay rent if you're gone? So I didn't.
And where do you shower?
The gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be, at the climbing gym when I was climbing. And now I go to like one of those all 24-hour fitness places. And it's good. It helps me work out, helps me stay healthy. Sometimes I just go in and shower. A lot of times I just go in and use the bathroom.
Just passing through.
Yeah.
Hi. Don't mind me.
Some people are completely oblivious. Other people are like, give you the look like, what's with this lady?
And so now you're doing a little subbing, or are you doing other kinds of jobs too, or what are you doing?
Pretty much just subbing right now. In 2018, I had a car accident with the Honda Element. I hit black ice on my way to school in Terrebonne, and my car fishtailed, and then I slid off the side of the road, and the car, like, I thought I was going to roll, but I just landed on the passenger side.
Not a little scary.
Oh, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I mean, I just kind of kept myself breathing, doing yoga and finding that, meditation in the breath. But it was scary.
And then somebody found you?
Oh, God, every person on the road stopped except for my friend. My friend was driving. He took his dogs out for a walk. Franklin, God love him. He took his dogs out for a walk and then was headed home. And he was like, "Oh, that looks like Dana's Element laying on the side of the road." And there was a million people there. It was like, kind of chaos.
Which is nice.
But also his dogs, like, he didn't want it. I just joke about it. But it was nice. I thought I was fine. I got out of the car. I didn't even want to get out of the car because, like, I, was used to being in my car so much. And so I'm like standing on the passenger window because it was on its side.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I'm crouched down in there and looking for my coffee, looking for my phone, which, thank God, my coffee didn't spill. I was very happy.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I maybe lost a little bit, but like, it was fine. And I found my phone and I'm like, well, now I have to call the secretary and tell her I'm not going to make it to school.
Well, I had a little delay here.
When I sent her the picture, she was like mortified.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But it felt like everything was brighter and louder.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not something you notice in the, like, it's not until later. And I had all this adrenaline. I was just ready to stay in the car because it was below freezing, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to get out.
Yeah.
So, but then all these people are surrounding the vehicle. I'm like, you guys, I guess I have to get out. I'm like, maybe it's probably smart, like the gas tank might blow up. I'm not really sure. Like, maybe I should get out. Like, I'm thinking, oh, where's my propane tank? Anyway, so they're trying to get me out, and the door's like really heavy on those
Yeah.
elements. They're like long. And so the guy couldn't get it open. And I didn't really like standing where I was. I couldn't push because I'm so short. So somebody opened the back hatch and all my stuff fell out, and they're like, whoa, what is going on here? Cause like my whole entire life, like I had no storage unit. I had just emptied out my roof box. Like everything I owned, I pared down to fit in that car. And I had one plywood platform that sat on like just piping.
Yeah.
And everything was in there. So it's all like just everywhere. And of course, like as I'm sitting there, like looking at all of this stuff before the people came over the car, I'm like looking at things back there, like, oh God, this is such a mess. Like I have to clean up my whole life right now. And if the car's totaled,
Yeah.
it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And then where am I sleeping? And how am I getting all of these things?
Mean.
And my little brain just zeroes in on this one. I don't even remember what it was. It's like, I've been looking for that thing for weeks. I just figured it was gone. And like now my life is turned upside down. And this thing that I've driven myself nuts, digging the van apart looking for is like clear as day, just on the top of the pile. So one of my friends picked me up from the auto body shop. Well, I guess I'm fast forwarding. So then I got out of the car and I got all the people to go home. I convinced them that I was fine. I talked to the sheriff. There was this one woman that stayed with me, and I was like frantic. I was just like I'm a yeller, I'm from New Jersey. I'm Italian. Like when I'm upset, I yell and I don't really mean to. Like I'm up here and everybody's like, no, you're like way up here. And this one lady, I'm like, you've been standing out here for like an hour. I'm not to be rude, but like, don't you have a life? Like, don't you have something you need to go do? Like, she's like, I just got out of work. I'm a nurse. My husband's at home. I checked in with him. He's fine. You just seem like you needed somebody.
Stood by you. How amazing.
She's a little angel, that woman.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
And it was funny because she was from Philly, or she lived in Philly. And where I went to college was like 20 minutes from Philadelphia.
Huh.
So it was like,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So did you end up in the hospital? What happened?
I never went to the hospital. I got in the tow truck. That tow truck driver.
It's amazing that you didn't break any bones or.
No, that's what I was like. I checked, I had my wilderness first responder and, there was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
But in my head, in my brain is where the problems were. So later, I got my friend picked me up from the auto body shop where they towed me, put all of my stuff in her Subaru, unloaded it in her garage, and I went through it and packed it up and went to my best friend's house in Bend.
Yeah.
Which I thought I was renting for the winter anyway. And she was like, I didn't remember that. So that's all right. She's like my sister. And she took care of me. And it didn't really hit me until that night that something was wrong.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, I have a headache. And then later, like the next day or 2 days later, I started getting these electric pulsations. Like, when you go to OMSI or like the Science Center and there's that like glass sphere that has the thing in the middle. And when you touch it, it zaps out. When there was a flash of light or any kind of, at that point, really any bright light or any sudden light or sound or loud sound, or even like mechanical whirring and low buzzing fans, dishwashers, all of those kinds of machines and sounds and lights I would feel that zap electrically from my eyes through the back of my brain to the base behind my neck where your skull meets your neck, or in your ear, from my ears inward to where you would think all of those wires and nerves meet in your brain somewhere. And I felt that very strongly.
So let's just say you probably weren't working then.
I actually went to work the next day because I was worried about having to pay for the fence I just broke on that guy's farm. And then after 2 days of going to work, I realized that was probably not a good idea. And Hunter and I had just started dating. We were maybe a month, 2 months into dating.
And he's going, now what did I get myself into?
He stuck with me the whole way. And my dad said, don't you mess it up. Oh my gosh. A month after the car accident, my dad's like, he's still with you. Do not let him go. Here we are.
A good thing.
Yep. Yep. 5 years later, we're still together.
So how long did it take for you to get like to where you were felt beyond that?
Well, I went to my primary doctor on that third day when I finally skipped school, and she was like, rest. That's all you can do. And she's like, you have a mild concussion. They did a CT scan and they didn't see any bleeding or any hemorrhaging or anything major.
Thank God.
Which was good. Well, I didn't hit my head, right?
Yeah.
So like when the car landed on its side, I just had this side to side whiplash, and it like jolted, like, if you like whack a doll's head and it kind of bounces. Yeah. That's what happened. And then the back window, when I landed there, it exploded. So there was a pressure change. So after a month of just being in a dark room, no, I didn't go out into the daylight. Like
the light probably
it was just too much.
Pulverized you.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did pulverize me. I did go out for I went to see a chiropractor because I thought maybe, like with the insurance, because I woke up and realized, oh, you have car insurance, your personal injury protection will cover this. Yeah. So I was using that. So I was using it to cover my massage, acupuncture, and chiropractic.
Wow. I want to have massage under insurance.
Well, with the car insurance, you don't need a referral. You don't need anything. You just use whatever you want for whatever you want.
And it's getting into an accident.
I know, right? It's like, this is how insurance should be. Little did I know that was all aggravating my symptoms at the time, because the massage was messing with the nerves in my neck, and the acupuncturist wasn't really trained in the neural end of it with my, so it was like, I felt better initially afterward, but later I felt worse. So it's like, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And with that kind of stuff, it's hard to tell anyway.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, it was December 18th that the accident happened, and going through the holidays, the first holidays at my boyfriend's family's house, was like, God love them. They are such good people.
Whatever too, but that'd be hard.
Yeah. But they understood, that I needed to go lay down, and they welcomed me and were just amazing, and they're my family. So by January, I was like, there is something I need to get fixed. Like if this is the rest of my life, like, we're moving into dark spaces mentally, because this is nobody should live like this.
Right. So
I found books at the library. I started researching because I couldn't read, like my eyes, when I would try and read.
Trying to track was not.
No, I couldn't track. My eyes would jump and kind of jump off the page and jump back to different words, and just like nothing I've ever experienced. I couldn't listen to anything. There was the sound of the TV was too much. So I wasn't listening to music. The only thing I could do to pass the time was stare at the pictures on the wall.
Ooh.
And it was tiresome. It was tiresome. Did you slip
into depression?
Oh, I was way in depression. Yeah. I was way there.
I mean, understandably.
Yeah. Very isolated. In pain. I mean, initially I couldn't sit up, right? So I had to roll over onto my side and push up with my, if I rolled over on my left side, I have to push up with my right hand while I was holding my head with my left hand to get up, and then sit there for a minute because I would get vertigo. And So going through daily life was really slow.
Yeah.
And I couldn't process.
Yeah.
So like I was hungry. This one time I was like going to make myself lunch, and I'd wake up in the morning, and I'd go feed the fire, say good morning to my best friend, to Brisha, and then she would go to work. I'd throw the ball once I got good enough to throw the ball for the dog. And that was like work.
Yeah.
Because the hand-eye coordination was like getting the ball. I move very slowly because if I moved too fast, it wasn't really as good as it used to be. It wasn't that it was that bad.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as good as it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Walking at night down the hall, I'd have to hold the walls.
Yourself.
Yeah, because I wouldn't know where I was in space. I would fall into the wall.
How long a period was that before you started feeling semi-normal?
Well, I had to go to the doctor to get better. So I went to a functional neurologist. I found through the books at the library, I think it's like the concussion repair manual was the one. And he said, you got to go to the doctors. Like, not all neurologists will do all of these tests, and you have to get these certain lists of tests. And so I found this guy in Lake Oswego, Glenn Zielinski at Northwest Functional Neurology. He's pricey, but he works and he knows what he's doing. And I mean, like, there's all this controversy because in neurology, he's technically not a neurologist. He's a chiropractor that studied neurology. And it's like no insurance covers it because it's experimental, quote unquote. And so, but with the personal injury protection, they covered it. So if you get in a car accident, you can go to them. But if you have regular health insurance, you can't. You have to pay out of pocket.
So that was a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So I went through all of that. And he was like, your eyes and your ears are not aligned. They're both telling your brain different things. So he gave me eye exercises. I did a whole week boot camp with him in July. And initially we thought it was like an inner ear issue, that I had a semicircular canal dehiscence.
Yeah.
And I went through radiology and it showed thinning on my bone, but I don't know, like it's hard to tell. And the ENT was like, you're already trending better. So let's, not have this surgery because it's a gruesome surgery for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. The surgery is like, you cut for that. They cut your skull behind your ear. It's like 4 inches. And it's like, it's treacherous.
Yeah.
And they only started doing it in 98. So it's like,
yeah.
Well, the reason why I was trending better at that point was because when I initially saw Glenn in the beginning of, I guess I booked the appointment in February. So then I had to wait till March. So in the beginning of March, he did all the tests on me, shaking my head, seeing how my eyes would react with my the vestibular system stimulated. They had me look at this big TV with watching tracking dots, and I'd have goggles on, watching my eyes and see what my eyes would do. The balance, just standing with my eyes closed, standing with my eyes open, turning my head, eyes open and closed, looking up, looking down, and they have like a little. It looks like a scale, but it's like tracking where my feet positioning are, and it tells you where my weight goes.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was falling
where
over.
Your balance is,
yeah.
Or not balance.
Well, because your feet actually have, I learned then, your feet have a lot to do with where, like your connections, they connect to your brain. And then you're like, and they tell your brain what's happening if you're sitting, if you're standing, if you're laying down, your feet actually can tell more what's happening. So they'll put a cushion in between the scale thing, and I'll stand on the cushion. And so then there's no input from the feet. It's all the inner ear.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's where you can really tell. That's when I was falling over.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Well, the vestibular system is remarkable.
Yeah.
It doesn't just like tell you like if you're in an elevator moving up and down, or if you're laying down, or how you're moving, if you're doing gymnastics or just turning around in the kitchen to get something out of the fridge. It is like awareness of like where you are in space, like in the universe.
Yeah.
We're on this rock hurtling through space. Like it understands that. Like we don't comprehend that. The body is remarkable.
What percentage back to normal do you feel?
I feel probably like 90%.
Yeah.
I would say I was closer to 100 a month ago, but I've been slacking off on my exercises, and it's been a long journey. I've tried many things over the past 5 years, and then he put me in this machine, and I went back because I stopped seeing him because I was like, I can't afford $350 for a consultation. And so then finally I was seeing other doctors and doing other things. And so I call this thing the whirligig. It's
because it's essentially a big metal wheel that you sit in or are strapped into.
Yeah, they strap me into the seat, and I wear goggles that cover my eyes with the camera, so they're watching my eyes. And it kind of looks like, I describe it like the Da Vinci, like the body arms sticking out. So it kind of looks like that.
But then it rotates you all the way around.
Yeah, like a carnival ride, but really slowly. When he tilted me forward, I thought I was up. Like the second time it moved, I was like, I'm upside down. I was not upside down. I was horizontal. Yeah. So my body, and so it just wears you out. I slept a lot over the past 5 years.
I would think so, because it almost is it's because it's messing with your balance and your brain and your.
I mean, even just taking roll as a substitute, looking down at the kids' names and then looking up to see if they're, because they, not everybody says here. Some of them say here for a kid that's, at McDonald's. So like you got to look, and looking down and looking up. It's just, that's enough movement in the head to make me dizzy. Doing that treatment really helped. And doing the eye exercises really help. And then he's given me balance stuff. And what happens they've found with brain injuries is a lot of times the more severe hemorrhaging ones, people have more full recoveries from. And the milder ones are the ones that have, like me, that have like these residual.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're a musician too. What do you play?
Oh, I play the guitar and the keyboard, and I sing.
And you sing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, music, it's all about the soul, right? Feeds the soul.
It does. Oh my gosh. I look forward to playing with my friends more than I do anything else.
Yeah.
Even when I was climbing all the time, I'd be as stoked to go play with my friends and jam as I was to like go climb.
What kind of music do you play? What do you like? What makes your heart sing?
Well, when I play with my friends, it's like we're rocking, you know, where it's all about the rock and roll. By myself, I'm not that good of a guitar player, and I'm yet. Well, I don't know if I'll ever be that good of a guitar player. My fingers aren't that big. I definitely need to do some strength exercise. I do like more singer-songwriter style songs on the guitar by myself. Yeah. I mean, I'll play Jewel songs and, what simple versions of like Simon and Garfunkel songs and
kind of folk.
John Prine. Yeah. And we'll play some Pearl Jam, and I think there's an STP song on the list, and Weezer, and old stuff from the Motown era, and Van Morrison. Yeah, we got a lot of eclectic mix.
It's fun.
Cake.
Couldn't live without music. Yeah.
No.
Gotta have it.
No.
I just joined the symphony. I haven't played since I was in college, which was 50 some years ago.
Oh,
I played flute, and it's just been so fun. It's just really neat.
Yeah. So you joined the symphony. I don't really know what that means. Like you're playing with the symphony?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a local one in Astoria, and so
I see.
Joined that, and so this season we're doing Broadway tunes, so it's just fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, just having the whole group. There's like 65 people in there, or whatever. It's just like,
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Couldn't imagine playing with 65
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's just really neat.
It's like
The percussion, trumpets are right
Whoa.
behind me.
Yeah, it's the vibration.
So, what's your vision? You got something in your mind that you'd like to learn to do?
Well, I'm working on songwriting, so that's a journey. I think I'm working on my musicianship as well. So I think the songwriting hopefully will come as I just need to practice more.
Yeah.
But since I haven't been climbing because my brain is still just like leaving the ground as weird things happen for me. Yeah. So I'm like really trying to heal that and just moving on to different bucket list things. And sailing is one of them. So I want to learn how to sail.
What makes you want to do that? What sparked that?
Well, oh my God, I don't even know. I grew up closer to the Atlantic and 45 minutes away from the ocean when I was a kid. And I always just wanted to like sail to Italy. Like, I don't know why I had this idea of like.
That sounds like fun.
Well, my great grandfather came across on a boat and came to this country for me. And, you know, it just sounds like such a cool thing.
Romantic.
Like, very romantic. I grew up watching my dad commute to Manhattan, and it was just like tiresome to watch. His soul just kind of got lost in this whole rat race, and I never wanted to be part of that, you know. But he raised me with this, like, I don't know, who I am is very much comes from my family. I mean, everybody comes from their family, but and he's always like the future, technology, all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, but like I started doing pottery when I was in high school, you know, like I'm like, what I want to be out in the dirt, in the nature. It's the idea of being able to move across the world and not burn any fossil fuels, not have any assisted power, just be able to do it naturally with the wind. Because somebody figured that out. Yeah. Like, I'm not smart enough to figure out an airfoil and like how these things work. Like, and it's really intriguing because there's so much history. There's so much of life that happened during the era of sailing, you know, before airplanes, before cars. So it just seems really cool to me. Yeah. If I had a hot air balloon, maybe we could go have a hot air balloon around the world. That's right. I don't know if I could do that.
I don't know if I'd go in the world with it, but it would be fun to go up.
Maybe that's a good place to start, going up in one. I was supposed to go up in one on my birthday a couple years ago, but the weather was bad. Well, Hunter's a skydiver, and at the place in where we were skydiving, he was going to jump out of a hot air balloon. And yeah, the guy that owned the hot air balloon was like, you could go with us.
Is it high enough? The hot air balloon goes high enough to skydive on?
There's a really cool movie about that. It was like in the 1800s. These people, and it was like a woman that was way into being the aeronauts. She was an aeronaut, and that's what the movie's called. And she was the one that was piloting it. Yeah. And there was this scientist that wanted to go and take all of his instruments and do the readings at the altitude and all of that stuff. It's gripping. I loved that movie. Yeah. Interesting. I watched it in school when I was subbing. And it's
like, okay, things that I've never done before. Let's try this.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, sailing, I'm going to start small. I'm going to learn in Puget Sound. And then, who knows? Maybe
you'll go from living in your van to living in your sailboat.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
As long as the weather's good.
Yeah. And, you know, we take the boat to the good weather. Right. Is the thing. We can go down to Baja for the winter.
That's right. Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a bad thing.
Okay. Well, Dana, thank you. This has been really fun and interesting.
Thank you for talking with me. I'm honored to be on your podcast.
This is fun. All right. Now that's a girl who shows resilience. What an inspiration. I've included one of her songs for your enjoyment. You'll find links for the Concussion Repair Manual and Glenn Zielinski in the show notes. That's all for today. Did you know it's easy to share an episode with your friends? When the podcast is open, look for 3 dots. Click on them and you'll see various options. You can download the episode, play it next or last, go to the show, save the episode, or copy the link. Isn't technology amazing? Hey, I'm looking forward to you joining me next time. I hope you have a great week.